What are some pros and cons about growing up in Ywam?
Yeah, not really knowing who your next crew of people might be, which really it's hard.
Awkward silence.
Is there any advice you would give to us about, like, growing up in Ywam? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 160 podcast. I'm Koa.
And I'm Noah.
And welcome to episode 15.
Today we have two very special guests, Grace and Reid Murphy.
Hello.
Welcome to the 160,
Hello.
guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Yeah. No
It's
worries.
an honor.
Today's just going to be a casual and fun type of conversation, not towards that important side, but more towards that fun side. So, Cole, you want to lead us in?
So we're growing up in Ywam. You guys grew up in Ywam. How was that growing up in Ywam?
Yeah, great question. I'll lead here. So personally, I loved it. I thought it was a very, very fun upbringing. So we grew up on the Big Island on the Kona base, and we had, again, a lot of fun friends that were around. There was always a crew that was kind of coming and going. As you guys know, in YWAM, you have families that come and go kind of quickly.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of families, or a handful of families that stuck around for kind of the whole time that we were there too. So that was really fun, having just fun community that was kind of a constant community for us, between those probably 5 different families. And it was kind of just a big playground, right? It was like a huge base, super safe. We kind of knew everyone there, so it was just a lot of fun. It was kind of a big play. It was kind of like every kid's dream of just like a huge playground to play on every single day.
Yeah.
So I loved it.
We'd sell geckos and
Yep.
So, geckos?
for fraps. We'd sell geckos for like $1 because kids' fraps were at the cafe $1. And so people would buy them and we'd get a free drink.
Just new
basically.
students. They were kind of the fresh meat, didn't know what was going on, and they liked to buy geckos. So we sold
You
them.
sold geckos.
Yeah, or Lilicoy.
For $1.
Or, yeah.
That is on
Fresh meat.
I don't know
should
why
start
we
doing
haven't
that.
done that.
Yeah, they're coming
Everyone
from
who
like
comes here, we just stand at the
except
front door
our-
on welcoming day. Oh,
Except our frappes are 60 pesos.
well, what you guys got to do,
That's not for the kids.
you got to
kids
go
can
to
have
Deer Island and get some of those chupacabra cat
Wombat.
Yes, bro.
wombat things.
Yes.
Bring those back.
Yes.
Sell those.
You could sell those
So
for more
there's-
than $1.
Way more than $1.
That would be huge.
Huge Big
Huge price tags for us.
So then what are some fun things that you guys would do to maybe make a buck or fun things around the base?
Me,
I
I
would
think
run around and ask people for 1 peso, but 1 peso here is like, I guess, not equal to $1, but if you gather
not
up,
even a cent.
not even a cent, but if you gather up a bunch of them, it equals you can get a lot of money. If you ask everybody on base, so that's what I would do. I'd go to every table, every seat, asking everybody for 1 peso, and then I'd end up with 100 pesos just by asking for
We
one.
would just go around asking people on the tables in lunch or dinner, and we'd go asking the people that we knew. We're like, hey, you want to give us these pesos for this amount? And then I remember me and Cole arguing about who goes to ask the person for the money, and one of us holds it. And we walked up to this one guy, we're like, do you have money? He's like, I already know what you guys are trying to do. I was like, no. And then we walked away. And then we just kept asking everyone. We were like, hey, can we have a peso? Can we have 2 pesos? And some people would give us 10. Some people would give us 3 or 4. And then we're just like, yes, let's go and get something from the vending machine. My mom's like, where'd you guys get that money from? We're like, oh, we asked everyone around base. And she's like, you guys can't be doing that. I'm like, they said yes.
Yeah. Worst they can do is say no.
Exactly.
yeah.
We learned that from our dad.
Yeah. The worst they can do is say no.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we did.
And then what would you buy from the vending machine? Oreos?
Like this. There's,
They
this
used to be
roll.
Oreos.
There's
They
this
used to be.
roll, this bun roll, like a croissant, and it's filled with Nutella inside of it.
Ooh.
That thing's good.
I'd
Sounds
buy
really
little
good.
chocolate chip cookies. That's what I'd buy, the little ones. It's so good.
The Chips Ahoy ones or whatever?
They were tiki
That's
takis
American.
or something like that.
That's American.
Cheap
Yeah,
Takis.
okay. That's not the Mexico version.
You get the off-brand Mexican
You
version.
get the off-brand tiki takis, bro.
That's amazing.
Awkward silence.
All right. So, what do you guys do right now?
So I'm a student. I go to Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, and I'm studying to be a nurse. and I am almost done. I graduate in December, fingers crossed, believing that that's what the Lord has for me.
What are you doing after you study? Like after you finish?
That's a good question.
After you finish your nursing school?
Yeah, so right now, the whole point in me being at school to be a nurse is honestly growing up as a missionary kid, as a Ywam kid, going on different missions. Actually, my first ever real, I feel like, mission trips that I was a part of was in Mexico, and we did medical missions. And during that time, I was able to assist in amputations of fingers.
Oh.
And then doing just blood glucose checks, a little prick on the finger. And that I remember was my first glimpse into what medical missions might look like. And I just remember falling in love with it and kind of telling myself, and maybe even to my dad, I was just with my dad, and just realizing that I think that there's something in this for me. And I was seriously I think maybe 6 years old.
Wow.
And that was a super special time for me. So back to kind of where I am now, the Lord has kind of just continued to confirm that call over my life, being a missionary kid and going into missions as a medical kind of having that behind my back, kind of having a training into medical missions and being able to do that for the rest of my life, hopefully eventually. But I think as soon as I'm done with college, maybe going in and working as a registered nurse in who knows where, probably in the States, and just becoming a really good, becoming more comfortable with the career and the skills so that I can be a better tool into missions and use that.
That's awesome.
Eventually, yeah. Maybe here, maybe on your guys' boat.
Maybe. What about you?
Yeah, so repeat the question one more time.
Pro surfer?
Pro surfer.
What do I do now? So yeah, I am currently living in Orange County, California. So if you know San Clemente, big surf town, just north of there in San Juan Capistrano. We're 10 minutes from San Clemente, so I surf down there all the time, and they're super fun waves. But I actually just started a home service company in the southern Orange County area. I was working, so kind of give you the backstory. Grew up in Hawaii when I graduated high school, moved to San Diego, and went to school at a school called Point Loma Nazarene University down there, and studied there for 4 years. And I graduated with my bachelor's of marketing. So I graduated with a marketing degree. And after that, then my wife and we got married in college. And after that, we moved up to the San Juan Capistrano area, which is about an hour north of San Diego, where we were. And then I worked at a software company, a startup software company in sales. Just quit that about 6 to 8 months ago, and then started a home service company specifically cleaning windows. And that was actually kind of a fun God story there, where I graduated, went and was working at a software company. And it was a very kind of, I don't know if you guys know, that kind of corporate world where it was very rigid. You had to be at your desk from 7 to 5 o'clock p.m. And you get 2 weeks of vacation a year. And it was just a very different environment that I was used to growing up in, coming from a YWAM background. And I didn't feel very fulfilled there. And I was like, Lord, if this is what you have for me for the next 10, 20, 30 years, I don't want it. This isn't fun for me. I don't enjoy this. So I need you to make a way where I actually enjoy what I do, and that's where he opened these doors to start a home service company, cleaning windows. So I right now deal with kind of the sales and admin and marketing side of things, then have a few guys that clean the windows, and it's been a huge blessing. It's allowed me to be here. I wouldn't have been able to be here on this trip down to Mazatlan if it wasn't for that, and I just feel super fortunate for that.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
So, what are some crazy stories you remember when you guys would travel around the world, being in YWAM?
Yeah. Want to start?
Yeah. Okay, so the first thing that comes to mind is, I know my dad was just on the podcast, the last episode, and he was talking a lot about Haiti. I think Haiti has some of the craziest stories that I can remember. It's a beautiful nation, And it's always a fun time. You never know what you're going to expect as soon as you leave the base, which is awesome. But I remember one time my dad actually lived in Haiti, or went to the DR, Dominican Republic, in Haiti, before being a Ywammer, I'm pretty sure. And he lived there for like a year and just kind of solo missioned it. I think he had some friends come along. But anyways, when he was in Haiti, he went to like this mission up in the mountains, and they had really good cinnamon rolls and cookies, and he remembered that so vividly. And one day he was like, "Okay, kids, like let's go try and find that place where I used to get those cinnamon rolls and the cookies." And we were like, "Okay, yeah, let's do it." It was like a weekend, and we lived in Port-au-Prince at the time, and it was again like right after the big earthquake, so it's was chaotic and different, like taxis, all of that. It's just kind of like you get what you get and you just go. Yeah. And our mode of transportation, the first mode of transportation that we had was a cement truck. And so we all piled back in the back of this cement truck.
Like in the thing?
Yeah, like I don't know.
No cement in the truck at the time.
There was no cement in the truck, but
It was an empty kind of cement truck.
yeah. But you had to like climb up a ladder. Like there's like big, you know?
Not one of the ones that spin.
No, not the spinny thing. But
It's basically a big like dump truck.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought
But we were in the
went
back
into
of
the
it.
one that like spins. I was like, you guys like hopped in there and just sat.
No, not in the cement.
Like, I was
We
like,
get stuck.
that's crazy.
Yeah. So we take that up for maybe like 20 minutes, I don't know. And then we get to a school bus. And in Haiti, a lot of the times, like, you don't want to be the person on the roof of the school bus. Like, you would never see like white people on the roof of a school bus. It's like where they put all the chickens and like rice and all of that. And it was a full bus, and our only option was to just get up on the roof. I was 9 at this time. And so we climb after our journey on the cement truck. We went up into the top of this bus on the roof, and literally I was like piled in between some like rice. And there's like electrical cords coming down. You kind of have to like dodge.
That's the thing
Like,
about
felt like
Haiti
Indiana
is,
Jones.
yeah,
Be laying down like this.
electrical cords everywhere, so you don't know if they're live or not. So when you're driving and you see one coming right at you, you're like, oh no, like I hope it's not
way
active.
down.
Like if this hits me and it's live, I'm done
You're
for.
done. That was
Luckily,
in
none
the
of them were
Philippines.
active.
They had the same type of thing on the buses.
Like the
They would-
jeepney.
Yeah, they would like have like a top part that you could sit, and I think I went on top of that with my babysitter, and my mom. She was there, and I was like 2 or 3 at the time, so I was experiencing different things, and then the same thing that happened. Like there was an earthquake that happened, and then we barely got off. We like
Tsunami.
yeah. Then there was a a typhoon. I think it was, or tsunami. I'm not sure. But it had came through, and we got like the very last boat to get to the other island that it was safe. It was just insane.
Yeah.
And that was like my actual like first like outreach that I had with my family. And
Yeah.
it was crazy.
It's always fun, isn't
They,
it? Yeah. But then we ended up getting the cinnamon rolls and the cookies. We found the place.
Oh, let's
And
go.
I don't know. It was
Better
they
than
were-
Looney Bean?
Oh,
La Olivia?
maybe not.
Yeah, probably not. It was good for. We just
for-
ate
They were
rice
good.
and
We had,
beans
yeah,
all day,
beans
so it was
and
a
rice
treat.
and
It was like, oh,
chicken
this is
and-
amazing.
Rice
Yeah.
and beans.
Could have
Yeah.
been very average.
I love rice and beans though. I would
Yeah,
never
they
make
do make
like
the rice and
Me,
beans.
the
Yeah.
craziest story I think I have is when we were in the Philippines, they took like this pig, they took a live pig and they shoved
my God.
they shoved a huge bamboo stick through its mouth and out its butthole.
Oh, and
they
like
put it on the
rotisserie
fire
it?
and they rotisserie
Almost,
it
yeah.
alive
But
though.
like it was so funny.
the thing,
Alive?
the thing was
Like,
squealing the
so
whole
We
time.
were literally like
It was so-
we were
it
with
was-
our babysitter
Shut
in
up,
our
I'm
room.
speaking.
We were with our babysitter in our room, and we're sitting down watching our shows, and the thing you hear is like the pig screaming, running by, and you see, and then I walk out. My babysitter tells me to go in, but all I see is a bunch of guys chasing a pig, trying to grab it, and I'm like,
With
oh
the
my
stick
God.
through it
Yeah.
already.
It was already,
And
and
then-
it
it
was
was
running
running
around
around?
with the stick.
No,
Yeah.
I think like they like got it, and
But
they
they
just
dropped
popped
it and
it
it
through.
ran away. They
no.
dropped the pig.
And then like
it
it's
ran
just
away.
spinning on the fire like this.
Poor
But
pig.
let me- it was so good. It was great.
I bet it was
Lechon.
good.
I don't know if it was better than like a cool little pork type style, but it was
Right.
good.
Right.
It was
Thailand
really,
was
really
crazy too.
We almost got trampled by elephants. That was
Oh, dang.
there was like, it was terrifying. We should put a clip of it. We should put a
Oh
clip.
yeah.
Right here.
Play the clip right here.
Yeah, right there.
Right there.
I don't know if we have
Right
the
there,
editing
stand right there.
skills. I don't know if we get the editing skills,
But
but like somewhere around
Me,
here,
it was so
you
funny.
can see the clip of
There
my
was
dad
all
almost
these,
died by an animal.
There was
by
all
an
these
elephant.
guys like standing, right? And we're like in the middle of the pathway, and the dog starts like barking at the elephants. Elephants come running down, like scream, like I don't even know. It sounded like a war cry or something, and they're running down. And all the like the tour guides are like standing there like laughing, and all of us are like, "Oh my gosh!" We ran to the side. Me and I almost slipped. Me and Cole are like standing there, and they're like still doing that little like scream, the elephants, and they're going crazy, and all the guys are laughing at us, and we're like, "We almost just got trampled." They're like, "It's okay. They're friendly.
It happens all the time.
Go touch. Go touch." I said, "No."
No,
And like
but
he's like, "It's okay. Calm down. Calm down."
after
And then, it was scary. It's
That would be
insane.
scary.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
after that we were walking, and I was in the front of the. I was with one tour guide in the front, and another tour guide snuck behind us and made the same sound. And I turned around and I started running to the side.
It was funny. There's a photo of my dad where it's like literally the trunk is like touching his whole back area, and it's like just like right on him, and it was like bumping him and stuff while we were walking. It was so scary.
That's really
my
scary.
word.
Those are big animals.
And it's like all
They are
muddy, so like
huge.
if you slip, it's like
Yeah. Why is that? Why I feel like I always slip at the times where I need to like
can't.
get somewhere quick.
I had my camera in my hand, and we were running across this muddy field, and I slipped. But I'm like, protect the camera at all costs. And I held my camera like this, and I just fell flat on my back until I'm like, ugh. I'm like, is the camera okay? I'm like
That
checking
curry
the
we
camera.
made
It's
though
all
was
good.
so good.
Yeah, and then our tour guide like grabbed all this ingredients, and then we just started making like curry. All right.
So we recently, or I guess not recently, but last year we did a podcast saying who we were inspired by in Ywam. Do you have any people that you're inspired by?
I do. So when we were this specific person, when we were in Samoa we actually lived there for a year. So I think I was maybe 10 or 11, and we lived there for a year. I went to school there, all of it. So it was a really, really fun time. But during the first DTS, while we were there was a guy named Jake Mason, and he now lives in California doing the circuit riders stuff up in Huntington Beach. And it was me and my brother, and we were way into playing Dogopoly, which is Monopoly with dogs.
What?
And so we would literally go around the whole base, like asking everyone, "Will you please play Dogopoly with us?" Like because we were like kind of bored at sometimes. We were trying to like make fun. Like we would go run into the jungle. Did a lot of things.
Yeah.
Slid on mud and all of it. But we really want to play Dogopoly. You needed like I think at least 3 or 4 people. So it was always my brother and I, and we'd go ask 2 other people to play. And Jake Mason was always the one that would say yes. So he was like one of the first ones we'd go to ask like, "Will you please play?" And it was a long ordeal too. It's not like any short game. It's like a 2-3 hour ordeal.
Oh my.
So it's like shocking that he said yes as much as he did. But he was also just a really fun, kind of young guy to be around. And I think that's one of the pros of growing up in YWAM is you're surrounded by a ton of young people that are on fire for Jesus, and that kind of inspires you as a young person to like go after that. Whereas a lot of people that don't grow up in a YWAM don't have that same experience where they see people kind of on fire for Jesus. Of course, some do in awesome churches and everything, but in a kind of missionary kid perspective, it's very almost like an accelerated path of just like seeing people on fire for Jesus. So he was one of those people I remember just being an awesome example of like what a young adult should look like. And I think he was like 17 or 18 at the time, so he was super young. But it was just like a really fun example of looking up to someone that was on fire for Jesus, would always like play with us and have fun with us. And it was just like a really fun, cool example that I really looked up to.
Yeah.
So he's the one for me.
What about you, Grace?
I would say that the person I look up to the most is, her name's Connie Klein. And she's been a really good family friend. Her husband actually used to be my dad's boss in, I think he did real estate. I want to say, was it real estate?
Yep,
Real estate
in Washington.
In Washington. And they've been good family friends. They're not really even friends to us anymore. They are on all of our family, like, dinners and all that, vacations sometimes. And yeah, so I grew up being able to just kind of see her. She's also a nurse, and she, I think, just stewards that gift and that call in her life really, really well and really, like, gracefully. And she's always so excited. Every time you ask her something, she's always kind of like off the walls, like, oh my gosh, it was amazing, like all of this. And I just think that that's really important to have, is just like this drive and this like passion for what you do. And I think that she has been so consistently passionate about missions, about nursing, about family. And she, I think, just does a really good balance of family and missions, and just encouraging lots of people. And I've been able to walk really closely with her in different countries, and she's allowed me to, I don't know, hold babies and be a part of some different clinics. And I think that really is, she plays a big part in my life and as to where I am right now and pursuing nursing. But yeah, I think she definitely is the person I look up to probably most.
Yeah.
You?
Oh, El Güero, Asher
I was
Matson.
gonna say that too.
I would say, because he grew up as a Ywam kid as well. And he was, he grew up like around Ywam with his parents. And I think seeing him grow up in it kind of inspired me to pursue growing up. And then he, being on fire for Jesus, like all that stuff kind of circulated back to me. And how like I don't know how I would say it if I'm saying it right, but like, since he grew up as a Ywam kid, I want to kind of pursue how he encountered God in different ways. I would say, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
It does, yeah.
that's awesome.
Sure.
He's a really cool guy, and then he kind of was like, he's like family now. He's just like every family dinner he's there.
He's been family, bro.
He comes over. He'll just come over asking if he wants to play some Xbox or if we want to go surf or go play soccer. I think he's been family for a while. Definitely, what Cole said. But yeah, he's an awesome dude.
That's great.
I'd say Nelson.
Nelson.
I look up to Nelson. He,
In which ways?
like, you know, like how Reid was saying, when they would play whatever that game is, they'd go up and find people. We can just
Nelson finds us.
Nelson
We don't
find
find him.
Nelson
He
finds
finds
us. Nelson finds us playing during workouts, and he'll play with us
And it's
for
funny.
hours.
Yeah, that's
He'll
awesome.
literally
hours.
just come and grab. We'll be playing like wall ball, and then he'll come down from doing his office like media stuff, and he'll come down and start playing. It's so
That's so cool.
it's fun.
Or during work hours, he'll be like, "Let's go surfing. Let's go exercise. Let's go run."
Yeah.
And he'll just randomly.
He's exposed. You're exposing Nelson though, for him not doing his job. Híjole. Get back on
Well,
that grind.
It's good to have someone in your life
Yeah,
like that that's fun and encourages you to Jesus and all that. So that's super cool.
Yeah.
Mighty. All right, you guys grew up in Ywam. You guys know how Ywam works. You gang people and you lose people. So, what are some pros and cons about growing up in Ywam?
I think a lot of the pros are being able to have amazing people to look up to and to learn from. And obviously the travel is amazing. You get to go to so many cool places, do so many things from such a young age that most people don't. And I think that those are really, of course, you also grow so closely, I think, from a young age in a really like mature relationship with the Lord. I think like even I see it in you guys, you know so much about Jesus and who he is and how you can live a life for Jesus. And I think that sometimes other people don't get that same opportunity, or it's not as real, or it doesn't maybe seem as real to them. It can be a lot harder to find Jesus. And so I think that for us, it was almost like we were born into, well, I mean, everyone can be born into relationship with Jesus, but I feel like for us, we have a special kind of opportunity to get to know him.
I had to cough.
Thanks for ruining it.
No, you're good. But we have a really special opportunity to get to know and become really close to the Lord from a very young age. And knowing like the realness of life. It's not, I feel like you guys kind of, or us as well, grow up knowing the hard parts of life as young people. And it's just kind of like, I don't know, I feel like life has always been just really raw and real, but it's been so good and fun as well. But I think some of the hard things would be just the coming and going of different schools, and especially when you're in one place, it might be a little bit easier. Well, probably not easy, but still as hard. But being in one place, like you guys being here in Mazatlan, and having new quarters every, well, I guess for a year, 4 different DTSs and different schools and people coming and going, or close families who have gone out to pioneer new bases. I think that can be really hard. And just, not really knowing who your next crew of people might be, which really is, it's hard.
Yeah.
I remember being really sad, especially like in school, having a classmate and becoming really close to her, him, and then the next 3 months they're gone.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, oh, like I don't know when I'm going to see you next, but I'm so excited for your family. It's hard because you're so happy for people, but then it's like selfishly you just wish you kind of had more time with them.
Yeah.
But I also think that that's a really amazing part of being a Ywam kid. It's like the hard and the bad kind of outweigh each other, you know? And there's equal balance between those two things. Because you get to know so many people. Like, I know your guys' family and from my DTS and all these different people around the world really makes the world so small, but also so accessible, which I think is really special.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then for me, pros of growing up, I think similar to what Grace was saying is, I think it just gives you a lot of different kind of lenses to see the world through. Whereas I think some people that grow up in just regular, and kind of, I'm coming now from a very different perspective now, being in California and doing corporate and just not being totally involved right now in kind of a missions organization. Have a church and everything, but it's, I would say, different than like a missions like YWAM. I think, growing up in a YWAM and traveling and meeting new people and learning more about Jesus, I think it gives you a lot of different lenses kind of to see the world through. I think that's super helpful, and it shows a maturity, and it grows a maturity in people too. Like what Grace is saying, we can see in you too. I think that's super important, just to be able to know there's more to life than just like working and making money, like a lot of people in kind of California are doing. And it's kind of interesting when you see a lot of those people that don't have a perspective of like missions and YWAM and everything. It's like I've seen a lot of people feel like they're very stuck, where it's like there's nothing else to life other than owning a home and having kids and a dog and a golden retriever and a white picket fence, right? It's like the American dream. I think it's super refreshing to like go back into like a mission, like coming here down to Mazatlan. It's super refreshing just to see like missions again and like understanding there's so much more to life than just working and making money and having a family. Like the world would be so empty and boring if that was the only thing. And the fact that we have Jesus to look forward to and invite into our lives is just so awesome.
Yeah.
So I think it gives you guys, and gave me at least, a really good perspective of how to view life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, I got a random question.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So the geckos that you guys were catching, were they green or were they brown?
Green,
Green.
the invasive ones.
Damn.
Yeah.
The ones we don't like.
The
Would you guys just like snatch them up and then
snatch
sell
them?
them?
Make sure the tail's
sell.
intact. Yeah.
I have actually another fun story if you want to hear it. Kind of a trouble story.
Love to.
So, again, growing up on the Kona base was kind of a big playground, and we would kind of move to different sections of the base depending on like what season we were in. So there was like a park we'd hang out in for maybe 3 months. The Ohana court, we'd go play dodgeball for 3 months, and we kind of just bounce around to different locations on base. And on one occasion, we somehow found spray paint in some bushes There was actually there was a guy on base who is a little crazy, who was our age, and he had spray paint and was kind of vandalizing stuff, and it wasn't the greatest environment. And we knew kind of where he stashed that spray paint. So we're like, let's go over there and like, I don't know, there's some rocks back there that we can kind of spray paint. Not good, not encouraging this. And then we're like, what else can we do with this spray paint? And we got like a lighter. We did the lighter and spray paint. I was like, oh, it makes a big flame. Like, that's pretty cool.
Like what I showed you in the kitchen.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're like, what if we went up, because there's kind of a farm up in the top of campus. We're like, what if we went up there? There's a bunch of pigs. We're like, what if we try and spray paint those pigs? Like neon and pink and all these fun colors. And we're like, that's a great idea.
That sounds like a great idea.
I was not a part of this.
So we went up there.
Sounds like a great idea.
Spray painted a few of these pigs that were running around, and they were like, they were kind of scary. Like, you would jump in the cage and they would kind of charge you a little bit. You spray paint them and jump out again. And we did that. And then I think the same day we went over to like there's basically a bunch of abandoned cars that we thought were abandoned, and we started throwing rocks at like the windshields and stuff. And broke windshields and windows and right in the side of these cars. And we left that day, went home, and then a few days later, our friends were in trouble. We're like, oh no, like what happened? So come to find out, the cars that were parked up there, some were abandoned vehicles that were like trashed, but then others were like the maintenance was up there. So they're just parked there ready to go in for maintenance. So we totally wrecked a few of these people's cars. Spray painted pigs, eventually had to go up in front of, actually my brother and I never got caught from doing it. We had really good friends who didn't rat us out. So they got caught and they're like, no, it was just me and let's just say two other friends.
That's how you know they're loyal.
Exactly.
That's how you know they're good.
So we never got caught.
Those are good friends.
But they literally had to go in front of the whole Ohana court, which is like the big,
Like hundreds
in front of the whole base, in front of like
Yeah, not just
maybe
leaders.
thousands of people.
Like
And
students
apologize to everybody on stage. They had to do a bunch of community service hours, and we helped out with those because we felt bad. But yeah, that was, I don't know if I should have shared that
so
or
don't
not.
take notes.
Don't do that. But also, it was a lot of fun.
I do have like another story. And one time we had those scooters that like if you push, like you had the brake, behind it you had the spark pad.
Oh, yeah.
So me and my cousins put some gasoline on the driveway and we went through it, we sparked it up, and we made like
No
something
way.
Like, it like
Sick.
like a
It
photo
was
shoot.
so
And
cool.
you would go and you'd hit the thing and it sparked the whole way down and it go.
That's actually really, I've never
was
thought of that.
sick,
That's
though.
awesome.
I got yelled at by my grandma after that.
She was so
she
mad.
She was mad at me for wasting gasoline, not for doing anything else, but for wasting gasoline.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's one we didn't come up with. That's smart, though.
All right, so we're gonna jump back into the main topic. Is there any advice you would give to us about like growing up in Ywam?
Here we go.
My advice would be to not be afraid to be involved. I know that a lot of times being a part of different ministries as a YWAM kid, I felt kind of like, oh, I don't think I can pray as good as other people, or my prayer won't mean as much, or I'm just too young, like people won't receive what I have to say, or all of that. But I actually really do remember the Lord speaking maybe even some of the clearest things to me as I was younger. I just remember like really hearing him. I know he spoke to me in my dreams and all of that, and I did have good things to say. I think I had some discernment as like a really young girl. And I wish that I was more bold, I think, in ministry, and really asking to like, oh, like, can we go into this house? Like, I really feel like I want to go into this house and talk to this family. Or seeing somebody on the side of the street and being like, I really want to get them food right now. Like, I just really feel that on my heart. But a lot of times I just wouldn't. And I think back and I'm like, oh man, I wonder what that could have looked like. And I trust that the Lord's encountered them and has sent other people to those people that maybe I was short in not going to. And I also remember a lot of times, like if I didn't say it, somebody else in the group felt that. And I think that my advice to you would be like, be confident in your relationship with the Lord, no matter how old. And I think you hear that all the time, being like, be strong, be courageous. And I think that would just really be my advice, is just to continue to be strong and courageous, and know that you can hear from the Lord just as good as anyone else. And you do have a voice, and you do have prayers that are meaningful and are powerful. And the Lord hears you just as much as he hears a DTS student, or staff or leader or whoever. Yeah. But yeah, that would be my advice.
Yeah, that's good. I would just say continue learning about Jesus and like what really makes you guys spark and happy and really enjoy life. I think kind of finding your purpose and like what your role is for the Lord is really important. It's still something that I'm kind of working through too, of like what am I called to do? Like what does the Lord have for me in this life? I think for both of you guys, you're still so young, just like continue learning. I really didn't get into like reading the Bible until I was in like high school. I wish I started way younger. I just continue learning about Jesus and understanding that he's good and faithful. And there's so many stories that I could tell of just like how faithful the Lord has been through my life, where it's like whatever goes wrong, he always redeems and like makes good out of it. And I'm just like extremely, extremely grateful for that. And I think that's also kind of a posture of my heart of just like being humble before the Lord and like asking forgiveness and really wanting to learn more about him. I think he respects that and honors that. Just continue learning, continue following Jesus, and that'd be my advice.
Yeah. Thank you guys. All right. Should we do lightning round?
Yep.
Ready.
Okay. Book or movie?
Movie. Definitely.
Coffee or tea?
I don't drink coffee, so I'm going to say tea.
Coffee.
Taco quesadilla.
Based off of last night or 2 nights ago where Grace brought us, what was that restaurant called?
Yes.
I'm going to say quesadilla.
Okay, that's smart. Smart one. What's the last book you read? Oh.
I was going to say it depends on where you go.
Ooh.
But
that's true.
I don't know.
That's true.
Quesadillas are they're so superior once you got a good one.
If you get a big one,
it's
good.
Like if you go to Raimundo's and you get the criminal. All
right, let's go. What's the last book you read?
The Bible. I don't read much.
I also don't read much. My textbook?
Most inspiring movie you've ever seen?
Where the Red Fern Grows. It's based off of a book, actually, that I read in 3rd grade. It's a movie about a dog and a kid, and it's very sad and wholesome, and I love dogs and animals, so I'm going to say that.
The most inspiring, I'd say, is like Unbroken.
That's a heavy movie.
It's heavy. It's crazy. So good. Or like Hacksaw Ridge. Yeah.
Hacksaw Ridge is also crazy.
I like Hacksaw Ridge.
All right. Advice you would give to your younger self?
Oh, advice I'd give to my younger self.
Don't vandalize pigs.
Yeah, don't vandalize pigs. Oh, man. You go first.
I know mine. My dad always used to tell it to me.
Oh, yeah.
Well, but he didn't tell it to me until I was a little bit older and a little bit more feisty. He would say, he'd say, never miss out on an adventure for the sake of wet jeans. So
what?
Like, don't miss out on an adventure for like some sort of inconvenience, like little inconvenience. Like, just go out and do something.
Like jumping in the water with jeans.
Because like wet jeans are like so uncomfortable. Like nobody wants to be walking around the rest of the day. But if it means that you like didn't jump in that waterfall, like come on.
Sad.
Yeah.
And then for me, I don't know why I'm struggling with this so much. Maybe be more bold in my faith. Like, don't be afraid of what other people are thinking.
All right, if you could do one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
For the rest of my life, probably surf.
Yes.
Like, if I could just be on a wave for the rest of my life, just pumping and turning.
Sleeping on the wave.
I'd be okay with that.
Tucking into the barrel.
Yeah, it's a perfect wave.
If you never need to sleep, just be.
Yeah.
I'd like to like laugh a lot. Like, just have a lot of joy.
Just like laugh as much as you could every day.
That would be amazing.
Best way to find your purpose?
TikTok.
No, it's not. That's the worst way.
Best way to find your purpose through Jesus, of course. Through Jesus, I guess.
Say going out and like volunteering to do things.
All right. Now, worst way to find your purpose?
Worst way to find your purpose. in the world doing things that aren't of Jesus? So those are very basic answers.
Yeah, I'd say like peer pressure.
Yeah, that's true. All right, finish this sentence. I will next fulfill my purpose by.
Continuing to listen to what the Lord has for me next. Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah, being patient in the midst of like maybe hard times.
Hard times.
Yeah.
Thank you, Reid and Grace, for coming on our podcast. This is very helpful for us, and we'll see you on the next one.
Peace out. Make sure you like and subscribe, turn on post notifications so you guys do not miss out on any future videos, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.